Hi everybody, this is Belinda from Belinda's Book Nook, and I'm here for part 3 of my birthday book haul. Today's bag of books are in Paper Source bag. I love the colors of their bags, it's really pretty. Today's are nonfiction, so with an exception, one might not be. I'm filming this again right after I did the last one, and so it is hot in here. I had the air on, but it's too loud, so now I have just a fan and I'm still too hot. So I may end up speeding up because I'm getting hot, and if you see me sweating, that's the reason why. The first book, I tried to, when I grouped the books together, I tried to group them so that they, you know, like by genre, like I said. But this one wasn't necessarily, I don't think, no, this is nonfiction, I'm sorry. It is nonfiction. This one could have also gone with the Caribbean books that I did in book haul number 1. And I'll start off with this one because it's a little different than the other books that are there as well. And this one is called Letters from a Black Woman to Her European Son. I have to look in here. I'm not sure where I saw this. But again, I was just trying to, I'm trying to also find, like when we were doing the Caribbean read, I was trying to find books in other countries that I wasn't, you know, necessarily familiar with. But it seems like it's very easy to get certain countries. So I ended up with a lot of, I already had owned a lot of Jamaican books, but now I'm starting to fill up with my Trinidad and Tobago. So it's okay. I love it. I like to, you know, again, I really feel too like you need to read a breadth of books to kind of, you know, it's just like saying if you read 3 American books, you're like, okay, well then that's it. I know everything. So I enjoy, you know, the experience and the opportunity to get different perspectives, etc. So this one is called, I said again, is Decolonial Daughter and Letters from a Black Woman to Her European Son by Leslie Ann Brown. And this is the cover of it. And this one I'll read the back for you because I can't remember exactly. It says, in Decolonial Daughter, Letters from a Black Woman to Her European Son, Trinidadian-American writer and activist Leslie Ann Brown explores through the lens of motherhood issues of migration, identity, and nationhood, and how they relate to land, forced migration, imprisonment, and genocide for Black and Indigenous people. Having moved to Copenhagen from Brooklyn over 18 years ago, Brown attempts to contextualize her and her son's existence in a post-colonial and supposedly post-racial world in which the very machine of so-called progress has been premised upon the demise of her lineage. Through these letters, Brown writes the past into the present, from the country that has been declared the happiest place in the world, creating a vision that is a necessary alternative to the dystopian one currently being bought and sold. So, you know, drop the mic. This sounds like this is going to be really good, educational, and I'm sure heartbreaking in some aspects of it. But this is one of the ones that I had picked up, and you know, I can never read everything for Caribbean month, but it's supposed to be read all year long. So this is the first of the nonfictions that I got for my, oh shit, I can put it up here. Let me move this because I think I need to look at that. The next one, actually I need it now. The next one, you know, it's great when you read a book and then a book you know, recommends or refers to another book and you're like, you're curious about it. So when I read, so I don't have the book with me, Cicely Tyson's book, Just As I Am this year, I think that was in February, was that February? She had mentioned this book in there. I think that's where I saw this. And so I was like, I wrote it down. I think I highlighted it or, you know, put a post-it or whatever. And I said, I'm going to check it out. And this one is called Brown Girl, Brownstone. And this one, is fiction, okay? I'm sorry. So this is a fiction story, but it's a historical fiction, and I'll read the back for you to see it. But it's called Brown Girl, Brownstones by Paul Marshall. And it says, Selena's mother wants to stay in Brooklyn and earn enough money to buy a brownstone row house, but her father dreams only of returning to his island home. Torn between a romantic nostalgia for the past and a driving ambition for the future, Selena also faces the everyday burdens of poverty and racism. Written by and about African American women, this coming-of-age story unfolds during the Depression and World War II. It's setting a close-knit community of immigrants from Barbados is drawn from the author's own experience, as are the lilting accents of the vivid idioms of the character's speech. Paul Marshall's 1959 novel was among the first to portray the inner life of a young female African American, as well as depicting the cross-cultural conflict between West Indians and Black Americans. It remains a vibrant, compelling tale of self-discovery. So I'm really curious to explore and read that, especially the part where they're talking about the conflicts between West Indians and Black Americans. I want to see what they had to say in 1959 and if anything still resonates still today. But I think it will be a really interesting read. It is a little bit tiny writing, the font's kind of, but I'm gonna read it. It's gonna be a good one. So that's the other book. And these two could have kind of, because this is Barbados, gone in that. But again, I was trying to stick to 4 or 5 books per video so I don't overwhelm everybody. The next one, I saw these 2 authors speak. One of the benefits of having, I don't want to say benefits of having a pandemic, but one of the great things that did happen, because there were great moments and there were bad moments, is that we're able to see authors online, whereas normally you have to be physically at this bookstore. They want you there. They're not going to stream it. So I was excited because I saw so many authors over the course of the year and a half that we've been doing this thing called the pandemic. And I saw these 2 authors speak about this book, and they said that they were going to have a revised edition coming out later. I waited for the revised edition because I wanted it to be the best and the most recent and the most current. And this one I am really, really excited to read, because I am continuing to read more and more Black history books. But I do see that there is a tendency for the Black history to be, tend to be mostly about men. So I'm really excited to read this one, because this one is called A Black Woman's History of the United States, with a revised afterword, and it's by Dr. Diana Ramey Berry and Dr. Callie Nicole Gross. And this is the cover of it. I am super excited about reading this. When I listen to them, and I don't know where, I didn't put it in my journal. I wrote it, this is a no-no. If you write something outside that you want in your journal, it must be or reside somewhere near and close and dear to it, or I lose it. And I wrote some really great notes when I was listening to them, and I was like so excited, like I wanted to get the book that day. And then I said, no, I'm gonna wait for the revision. I have enough things to read now, it'd be fine. But there were some things I wrote down, and I know this one's gonna be full of flags. It's gonna be, I'm sure, some hard reads too, but I think really educational. So I'm excited about this. I know I did read earlier this year the book, what was it called? Remember the one with all the African American? So that was another one. You know, like it's not common that I get to read books with. Yeah, it was called African American Women of the Old West, and that was fantastic. You know, it had 10 to 12 different women and just different stories. So this should be really good, and I think they lay this down, you know, into the context of the time period. So I'm excited about this one. I'm really excited about that one. If you get a chance, if you go online and look for some videos, any of the videos where they're talking, it's just fantastic. Okay, so the next one is another author we see all over the place right now. And I actually watched her on Zoom a week ago, maybe. Well, you know what? When I put this video up, it'd probably be not bad. So I just recently saw a video with her, and she was talking about this book. So I had, I hauled it for my birthday haul, but I do own another book of hers that I haven't read. And this is what's good sometimes. Sometimes you can call yourself out when you buy an author's book and you have another one, just like the mystery one, the Pervine mystery series. I hadn't finished the last one, the new one came. So it kind of helps get you, in check so you'll actually read them. But the first one I had by this author that I owned before is called Minority Leader, How to Lead from the Outside and Make Real Change by Stacey Abrams. And I haven't read this yet, but you'll see a theme in this one and the one that I just got. So the one I got for my birthday is Our Time Is Now by Stacey Abrams. And both of these books, the reasons I bought them is this one, I don't know, I have to look at that one, but this one, the first part of it is all history. It gives you all a history of voting rights and all of these different things so that you're not like talking out your butt. You can actually have facts and understand the history in the country to understand where we are now with regards to our voting rights and things like that. And so the first half does that. The second half tells you what you can do. That's what I'm saying. Don't get people riled up and not give them something. And I feel both of these, like this one, How to Lead from the, make change from the outside. I think that she's a perfect example of that. And I think these books, it would be great in terms of getting, in terms of my activism and getting more effective approaches, and also just gaining more knowledge along the way. So this is the one I got for my birthday. I don't know if y'all have read it, but Our Time Is Now. It's great. I wish this was this is probably in paperback now, but I like paperback because I can just, stuff it in my bag. All right, so there's that one. This last one I was so excited about when I heard about it because, again, it's so relevant now where people are challenging history and talking about critical race theory, which basically is just history, that we're trying to explore history and trying to be inclusive of the entirety of history and not trying to gloss over or minimalize aspects of history, and how this author seems like to have approached it in such a way that I think that it's just going to connect with me. I'm going to really appreciate it. So this one is called How the Word is Passed, A Reckoning with the History of Slavery Across America by Clint Smith. He's all over the place talking about this. Go online and you can find videos with him talking about it. If I should remember, I'll link one, but I probably won't because I'm telling you it's so hot right now. I'm so hot. If I remember anything, I'm even posting the video up, right? So, which I have. Remember, I missed a video before. This one, one of the things he talked about reminded me of a podcast. I love when that happens, when you read something or you hear something and it reminds you it's something somebody else talked about. So it kind of brings it all together. And he was, in this particular interview, I think he was talking about, historical sites. Like, we're living, even though we are, there's not slavery right now, we live in the same land. So there are landmarks and things that have occurred right below our feet that oftentimes we are very unaware of. And he brings upon and talks about different places where things occur. Not just we're not just talking about like a physical plantation, which is one aspect, right? But there are other areas in this country. I think it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that there's one that he was referring to that I'm thinking that I had heard about was near Wall Street in the United States. And like physically right down the street from Wall Street was one of the largest slave trade areas in the country. I believe that's correct. And again, that's why I got to read the book. But things like that. So it's like, you're not just, relegating everything to the South. You're not just relegating things to just plantations. You're looking at things in terms of what is here, and it's everywhere. It affected everywhere. And so I'll read a little bit so I can make sure I'm giving this justice. Beginning in his hometown of New Orleans, Clint Smith leads the reader on an unforgettable tour of monuments and landmarks. Okay, that's right. Those that are honest about the past and those that are not, that offer an story of how slavery has been central in shaping our nation's collective history and memory. And I'll just leave it at that. But, I'm just all over it. And then I watched an interview with him, and then of course I got like, I don't know, 5 or 6 more books that he recommended. And when I do the review of this, if I remember, I'm going to write those. I'm going to give those books out as well, to let you all know too. Because it's kind of nice when an author recommends things, especially when they're doing a nonfiction in history, because again, it gives you more references to come at things from different points. Him taking a tour and doing, basically physically going to physical places and then placing and relating to history is another way of approaching history. So I'm excited. What this reminds me of is another book that I haven't read, and that's Stamped from the Beginning. I know Alba, if you watch Alba's channel, I know she's done a great review on this, and a lot of people talked about this. They've got a kid's version that I want to get for my sons to read, but this one I haven't read, and I feel like these would be great companions to each other. But this one's Stamped from the Beginning, the definitive history of racist ideas in America. So I'm curious about getting to that too, but I'm going to get to this one first. I feel like this one is more accessible probably, and just bite size. I can get in it and get into it. So those are my books, my nonfiction with one fiction, books that I got in my haul. We still got more books to go. I'm going to try to do at least one more video today, and then I'm going to have to call it a day because I'm getting hot. So here we go. And so these are the books. I went crazy. Just hold my credit card next year in June, because this is not good. Yes, it is. There are good books, so I really feel happy with the purchase that I had. So these are the books. Go out and get some. If you have them, let me know if you enjoyed them. I can't wait to read them and to talk to you guys about them. I hope you guys are well and staying cool, because I'm so hot. I'm sweaty and shiny. Do you see the shine? It's not a glow, it's sweat. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.